In this film, we're going to look at what agreed ways of working means and how you should handle issues like complaints when they arise. Agreed ways of working means your contractual obligations as an employee. That includes your agreed job description. It also includes the policies and procedures of the organisation you've agreed to work for in your contract. You should always respond to comments and complaints in a way that's in line with legislation and agreed ways of working. First, inform your line manager immediately of any comment or complaint and always back it up in writing, preferably by email. Secondly, assure the person making the comment or complaint that their concern will be dealt with promptly. Inform them of the company's procedures for handling comments and complaints, including timescales for responses. You should contact the following people through the agreed procedure to ask advice and support in handling comments and complaints within your organisation. Your line manager, by either seeking them out on the premises or by an email marked urgent, or if your line manager is not available immediately, you should ask a senior colleague for advice and support. You could also use the complaints procedure by asking the person making the comment or complaint to complete the appropriate form for submission to your line manager. It's important to understand that learning from comments and complaints will improve the quality of service your organisation provides. Everyone should be continually challenged to improve services, and no one should become complacent about the quality of their services. As an employee, you don't see every aspect of the service the organisation provides, and sometimes you need others to point things out. All care users are individuals, and they need care that's specific to them. So each procedure you deliver may need to be slightly different to suit the requirements of that person. It's important to recognise adverse events, incidents, errors, and near misses within the organisation. Be observant and notice, for instance, if something in a customer's room or something about their demeanour is out of place. One of the ways you can do this is by having a good knowledge of the organisation's policies and procedures. You can then recognise if these are not being adhered to. By having a sound understanding of relevant legislation and government guidelines for practice within the care sector, you can instantly tell when they're not being followed. You should follow the company procedures in relation to adverse events, incidents, errors and near misses within your organisation by sticking to all reporting procedures, including writing in the accident book, and also by keeping your line manager informed at all times, and by taking pictures and keeping evidence of an event, if that's appropriate, to pass on to your line manager. Whatever you do, do not do nothing and ignore the event. Here, the Deacon Star staff talk us through how they handle complaints and comments at the centre.
Agreed ways of working is a term that's largely used to describe job descriptions. It's an agreement that is made between the caregiver and the employer to contractually do this, this and this within your daily routine.
We all have a contract, we all had duties lined out in that contract.
I've agreed to come into this line of work and help and support my service users to the best of my ability.
From us signing the contract and being employed by the company, we are agreeing to act in that way whilst at work.
In my agreed ways of working, I promote independence in the environment and out in the community. I promote dignity, privacy, confidentiality, and making sure that everything's kept confidential unless needing to discuss with my line manager and everything.
You don't go outside it, you don't do any training that you're not trained for, you don't administer medication if you're not trained for it. This could leave yourself wide open to not only yourself being sued, but also the company you work for.
It's important that all staff cover all of the policies and procedures and abide by them at all times. We all need to be working in a consistent manner to make sure that we're all fulfilling our duty of care, but also providing a good, high-quality standard of service.
I think it's very important to have access to a complaints procedure for staff, for the service users and for families and anybody really.
Comments and complaints should be really accessible. Let's face it, if your complaints procedure isn't easy to use, you're going to be very reluctant to use it.
If there are things going wrong, we need to know about them, we need to be able to record them, and we need to act upon them to make things better.
We must act on comments and complaints and learn from them. We should be saying, right, okay, then, this didn't work, we'll try something new. Sometimes in this industry, it is trial and error because individuals and our clients are so different. But it's about getting it right in the end for everybody. If I was going to go to somebody for extra advice and support on comments and complaints, it would firstly be my line manager. You would need to follow the company's procedures, which in usual case is the line manager. I would always recommend that you put it in writing to a line manager because they have so much to deal with on a daily basis that if you just say that verbally, it could go straight over their head. But in an email, it's auditable then.
It's very easy to make a complaint with my company. We have complaints, documentation, we also have on-call telephones, we have message books, handovers.
We want to encourage people to give comments. We want to encourage people to make complaints when warranted, because that's one of the ways we can reduce the risk of harm to a client and reduce the risk of harm to service givers as well as service users.
I would recognise adverse events by being observant around my workplace, having a knowledge of the clients, and if anything is wrong, report to the line manager.
I would report errors, near misses within the organisation by firstly logging it down. I would actually write down the incident as it happened, because little details disappear the longer you leave it. So I'd write it down straight away and present that to my line manager, and that's usually the procedure within any organisation. Your team leader, your line manager or your registered manager